is actually no less efficient than the other person because the brain does need a break.
It 100%. I'm going to botch this, but the story of the two guys, chopping wood, and the other guy worked, nonstop to get to his goal, where the other guy, took some time off and actually finished faster. And the other guy said, how did you beat me? I worked more hours than you and put in more time. The guy said, oh, well, while I was off, I was sharpening my saw, right? Or axe, whatever the saying is. But I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, being able to take a step back and take a break and refresh your mind, your physical ability. I mean, it has a great impact.
Hi there, you are listening to A Founder's Life, and I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. My guests and myself share our entrepreneurial journey and our methods for a balanced life. And I'm joined here today by Andy Rood. Andy, thanks for joining. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Leo, thanks a lot for having me. As you mentioned, my name is Andy Rood. I am a co-founder of a company called Better Every Day. We spend a lot of time in the tax and accounting space, kind of a crazy name for the tax and accounting space, but our goal is to help uh, owners and founders for accounting firms really find freedom and really break away from the traditional mindset of an accounting firm, right? And so really helping them think through what it is that they want out of their business. But I'm located here in Bloomington, Indiana, small town, maybe an hour, 45 minutes. Now there's an interstate south of Indianapolis. Married, have two daughters, 6 and 9. So we're in the thick of it right now.
Great ages. Although I think all ages are great. I
They
enjoyed
are.
most of them with the kids. And as they get older, I think they get more fun, especially as they become little adults and then adults, and you can have real adult conversations with them. But
We're,
it's
we're
all
already
ages are great.
starting to. It's amazing how much they think that they know already. Um, maybe that's all kids, but they think they know everything, and mom and dad are wrong about everything. So I know that gets worse.
Oh, I think mom and dad are always wrong about everything.
That's true. That's true.
Although the funny thing is, the knowledge they have now is fundamentally different to the knowledge we had
Totally.
as kids. Doesn't mean it's all right, but the point is they do have access to much more knowledge than we would have had at their age.
That's you're spot on, and they know how to use iPads. We don't have phones or anything like that. No cell phones, but they do get iPad time from time to time, and they know how to FaceTime us. They know how to call. They know how to text, and but you're right that their knowledge and their access to knowledge is far greater than what I had.
Yeah, I mean, my kids are a little older, 19 and 22. But like if I look at my 19-year-old son who's really into fitness, he lifts a lot and, health's important to him. And I have conversations with him about what he's doing and in terms of at the moment he's on a cut, which meant nothing to me before. But I look at this and I'm like, I just couldn't. At his age, not only did I not have the knowledge, there was no way for me to get the knowledge. I guess I could have gone to a library and read a really boring textbook, but the knowledge just wasn't really there.
Yeah, that's right. And they're not like accessing Google or Chat GPT or anything like that. But we have home pods in the house, or they can ask Alexa or whatever, and they'll just yell it out in the kitchen, and the answer comes to them, right there. So yeah, you're right. Didn't have that.
So looking at work, so your journey, what was your journey that brought you to where you are today? And talk to us a little more about how you're really helping accountants find a better quality of life. And I love your company name. I think it's
Sure. Yeah.
especially for
Thank
the
you.
sector you're in.
Appreciate that. It's been a labor of love. So where I came, I came out of school. I actually spent 4 years in the United States Air Force. Did that for a little bit. My grandpa had an accounting firm for, I don't know, 35 years, doing things very kind of old school. And then my dad, his name is Darren Root. He took over the firm probably in the early or late 80s probably. And at that time and going through the 90s, technology was really becoming a big thing in the industry, as it is in every industry now. But just how to leverage software, capacity planning, and efficiencies is still, even to this day, very, very relevant, and something that people are still trying to figure out. Where staffing in our industry overall is, there's a huge shortage in it. And so, as he ran the firm for, gosh, he probably ran it for another 35 years. Coming out of that was the ability to and the opportunity to start to help other accounting firms across the country really think through their business model and their technologies and the way that they were running their business. And what ends up happening, especially in the tax and accounting space, is everybody comes into the profession as a technician. You come out of school with a skill set, and really, the overarching thing is that you're an entrepreneur of a business, and you get stuck doing production, 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week, especially through tax season. So it's a very deadline driven, industry. And so he started a company called Rootworks probably in 2013, 2014, as a consulting company to help other accounting firms think through these types of challenges. And so, as all business owners tend to be, you feel like you're kind of on an island by yourself. And this concept of community was really powerful, and still is to this day. You see them everywhere, um, in all sorts of different types of industries. But the concept of community and really having a path to follow was really exciting to firms. And so we really work with firms that are small to mid-size. So when I say that, I'm talking, 5 to 35 in staff size, probably doing anywhere from, a million to 4 million in revenue. There's 120,000 accounting firms across the country that fit that demographic. So I'm not talking the big four, and I'm not even talking firms larger than 35. There's 120,000 of those types of firms. And there's technology all over the place now. So trying to guess and vet and figure out what the right pieces of technology, and even business processes, is really difficult for them to figure out. So we started Rootworks, or he started Rootworks in 2014. I came along and started working in the business. And so we went through that. We got acquired in 2020, right at the height of COVID, actually, and did that for a little bit. And then now we have started a new venture called Better Every Day, where we are continuing to help firms, think through at a high level, what is it that they want out of their business, right? Working, as I mentioned earlier, 60, 70 hours a week, um, is is draining, right? And so we really want to help firms build a business that supports their life, um, and not one that dictates it. So so really, at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, I grew up in the tax and accounting space. As a kid, I never really cared how good my dad was at doing tax returns. I probably could have cared less. Um, but did I care that he was I was big into sports. I played basketball through college, but so was I excited for him to be at my games? I have a brother and a sister. And through tax season, that was always really difficult because of the long hours. So if we can really help business owners, mainly in the tax and accounting space, build a business that supports their life, there's a lot of other more important things out there than being really good at bookkeeping or tax returns. That's just a vessel to getting there. So does that make sense?
It does, and I think makes complete sense. And it's great to see a sector that I think it's definitely one of those ones that people work ridiculously long hours.
Yeah,
But
totally.
and often I never know how necessary it is. I think especially with accountants, that those dates, that there are 4 or 5 dates a year that the person on the bit, everything's around those dates rather than I think being more prepared and finding a way to do that year round.
Right.
The other thing, that there is a slightly strange thing in America. I find it strange being not American, which is Americans believe in having 10 days off a year and actually
Right.
not taking it. They proudly don't take their 10 days a year. I mean, in Europe, The legal minimum is 20 days. And actually, as an employer, you actually have to make your employee take that. Actually, legally, they're not allowed to carry it forward or get paid out. So they've got to take at least 20 days. Actually, there are probably in Europe, depending on which country you're in, most people have more than 20 days because that's the legal minimum. There's also more public holidays, and people take the public holidays. Again, when I moved to America 15 odd years ago, it took me a while to get used to the fact that public holidays actually don't mean businesses are closed. They just mean public employees and banks are closed. Actually, probably for half the public holidays in America, actually are still operating absolutely normally.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially in our industry, it's a badge of honor. I mean, I think just in the country overall, it's a badge of honor to say, yeah, I put in 80 hours a week this week. And it's like, what are we doing? Um, it's as I mentioned earlier, my grandpa ran the firm, and if you worked less than 40 hours a week, or sorry, if you worked, just 40 hours a week, he would call you a part timer. Um, so it's just this badge of honor for whatever reason, and yeah, I don't know because
Well, and I'm not convinced that if you looked at the average person working, let's call it 60 hours a week, and taking off, let's call it 10 days max a year, including public holidays, versus somebody who works 35 hours a week and takes off 25 days a year, I think you'll find the person working the lower hours and taking more time off is actually no less efficient than the other person because the brain does need a break.
it 100%. I'm going to botch this, but the story of the two guys, chopping wood, and the other guy worked, nonstop to get to his goal, where the other guy, took some time off and actually finished faster. And the other guy said, how did you beat me? I worked more hours than you and put in more time. The guy said, oh, well, while I was off, I was sharpening my saw, right? Or axe, whatever the saying is. But I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, being able to take a step back and take a break and refresh your mind, your physical ability. I mean, it has a great impact.
I love that the what you're doing is really impacting people's lives and allowing them to find the right balance in their lives and therefore what we'll talk about some of it in this podcast, but
Yeah,
their family as well.
totally.
And so you mentioned you've got two kids. So what does family mean to you, and how does it look?
Yeah. I think for the longest time, maybe I never admitted it, but man, it's fun to be a dad. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and I have two girls, so and we're done. So I'm living the girl dad life, and I think it's awesome. I mean, they're both into softball. They're both into princesses and Disney stuff right now. So um, it means everything, and the ability to be there for them, when they need me, right? And spending that time with them. And so, they will say, at times like, Dad, you work a lot. And that's just kind of part of it. But to your point, I think that there's this concept of work-life balance, but I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with that terminology. Because to your point, it's, oh, I work these many days a year and then I take 2 weeks off. I think now, especially in a post-COVID world, there's this work-life integration that people are starting to wrap their heads around, or think about a little bit, to where they can balance both, and it's not always uh, this time is work and this time is off. But it's thinking about, how can I integrate the two? So if I'm working, if I have to work late, but I'm meeting my family for dinner, how can I be fully present at dinner? Right? How can I be there to have those conversations, listen to what they're saying, where a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody, but I could be sitting there and my 9-year-old telling me a story, but I'm thinking about a work related problem, right? Or a meeting or a conference that I got to attend or something like that. Um, so yeah, I think that, having that balance between the two, um, is detrimental.
Yeah, and I think the kids knowing that you work hard is not a bad thing because we do have to work hard. It's just them knowing that you're also going to be there for them when you're
Right.
there. It's being,
Right.
as you said, it's being present. It's
Yeah.
as much as possible. None of us are perfect. Yes, our mind may wander, but more often than not, it's being present and being there for them.
Yeah, and not sorry to cut you off real quick, but and being there, in the middle of the day if I need to. They have events sometimes, and it's like, all right, well, as long as you're prioritizing, the right things to prioritize, you can make.
Yeah, it's true. And what's health mean to you? Whether that be mental health, physical health, nutrition, what's health?
So this is probably one of my bigger passions. Not that tax and accounting isn't. Everybody's probably like, "What, tax and accounting is a passion?" No. Growing up, I was an athlete. I played sports, and then uh, for a little while there, I kind of let things go. Um, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. We were newly married. Trying to grind, trying to figure some things out, and before you know it, that falling off the train, falls off. You can fall off a lot. Um, and something kind of clicked in me probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, I would say, to where I got really obsessed with health and fitness and still am to this day. I'm incredibly obsessed with data. So whether that's getting my blood work done, getting steps in, exercising, all that, tracking that information. But I would say that during that process, getting educated on what things meant, because growing up, those weren't things that we didn't have social media. We didn't have all these influencers talking about supplements and diets. You had like your fad diets and things like that. But to your point earlier about our kids, we now have access to incredible amounts of information and education everywhere. So I became really knowledgeable in the whole foods and what they were really doing to my body and also, to my family as well. And so, um, going through that, I probably went through a journey where I lost 40 pounds. Um, and so even to this day, like I tell everybody, I don't really work out for the physical look. I have to do it for mental clarity. I mean, it's almost a non-negotiable, in my routine, that if I don't do that, sometimes my wife will be like, "Hey, you're kind of irritable today. Did you work out or did you?" And I'd say, "No, I didn't." She's like, "Well, why don't you go take 30 minutes and then we can come back and have this conversation or something." Um, it's detrimental, and we say that to all of our clients as well, as being a business owner, having mental clarity and being able to operate and perform at your peak physical fitness as much as possible is game changing, I think.
I think healthy body, healthy mind. So I think I meditate every day. I have for just over 10 years now, and it's not always a long meditation. I'm not sitting cross-legged somewhere, but yeah, sometimes it's
How
20
did
minutes, and
you
other times it's a minute.
how long have you been meditating for?
I started 10 years ago, almost exactly
Okay.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I started for years. I did Headspace. I love that guided meditation. I think actually it's a great way, and I often still use those examples both in meditation and, to be honest, his examples around distraction things work well for life. Whether you're with your kids, whether your mind wanders for a moment, okay, but do you come back to what they're saying? It's the same idea. It's the same idea with that meditation of if you try and focus 100%, it doesn't actually work. Yes, there'll be distractions. It's. I think his examples he gives are, the cars driving past or the clouds in the sky. Yes, you acknowledge it and let it move on. That's fine. It's. I think meditation is powerful in everyday life.
Yeah.
I also breathing is something I've done quite a lot of work in as well. So like taking 3 deep breaths to really calm the nervous system can be really powerful as well. Do you meditate regularly?
Yeah, I I wish I was that's why I asked. I wish I was better at it than I am. Um, and same, I started out using Headspace. I've used the Calm app, a few times. Um, and but you're right, it's so powerful to get into a state of trying to block out all the racing thoughts and to-dos and tasks that you have to do and kind of bring yourself back to center. So it's something I still work on to this day.
Yeah, I'd say the only thing I'd say is it's not trying to block them out. It's being able to ignore them or be present with them still in the back there.
With them there. Right.
Somebody recommended to me recently something I'm tempted to buy. It was one of these, it's a meditation, it's a headband, and again, data. I wear an Aura,
Sure.
but
Yeah,
it's got like
same.
all this data it gives, and it also helps with meditation and things like that. And it's something that sounded quite interesting. It's been around for a while. I think they're on the second or third generation. But
Okay.
that's one thing I'm tempted to try.
Yeah, same. I have an Aura ring on, and it's that daily routine to wake up and take a look at what my sleep score was. Um, and if it's bad, I can feel it, and if it's good, I can feel it. Um, but so I've started to get a little. I get obsessed with the data. I get obsessed with the active devices and health devices.
Yeah, they all become a little addictive. Generally, I like to think for the better, but you know,
Right, right,
does Aura really tell me whether I had a good or a bad sleep, or should I actually
right.
know whether I had a good or a
Good
bad
bad
sleep?
sleep. Right. Yeah. I would say if anything, it keeps me accountable to my routine for what I right. Like I've spent the money on it, and so whether it's completely accurate or not, it at least keeps it at the forefront of my thoughts. Like this is a priority. I know I feel better when I do these things. So
Yeah, I think, and to be honest, that's all that's important. Do you feel better about it?
right, that's right.
And we all feel better when we get the crown in Aura. I don't get it often enough on sleep, but I do feel good.
I agree. I'm like, oh, that's great. But you're right. I don't get it as much as I wish.
And so, what do you like to do for fun?
So I love working out, whether it's running or lifting weights or whatever. I like being active. When it's nice out, now it's spring's here and now we're going into summer. If I'm not sitting at my computer, I really like being outside. I really like doing yard work, and all my friends are like, I can't believe you love doing yard work, but I just like being outside and being active as much as possible. In my, I just turned 39 on the 6th, so about a week ago. So, playing basketball I'm starting to see the end of that, or at least mentally. Like, so I like to get out and play a lot of golf. That's really fun for me to do as much as I possibly can. It's tough with two kids. But if I can get out and play, I love being outside, and I'm also very involved in my kids' lives. Like right now, I'm coaching softball. They're both on the same team, and so that's more fun than I think anything at the moment is being able to coach that team and kind of be there for them. So yeah, so
Sounds like a nice balance. And can you stop working? Are you good at switching off? Really continuing the conversation we've been having for the last few minutes, but can you switch off and focus on other things?
Um, I'm getting better at it. I mean, it's difficult at times, just depending on the day or the week, or how busy things get. But I am getting better at it. I mean, I'm trying to kind of be able to separate the two, and like you said, it's not blocking those things out. It's acknowledging that those things are there, and that's okay for them to be there. But can I prioritize and can I focus on the thing that's currently in front of me and being present? I think that's one of the biggest things that I've worked on over the last 10 years is just being present in the moment, right? Because it's very easy, whether you're running a company or whether you're just an employee, it's very easy to be somewhere else. It's very easy for me to think about things that are supposed to happen down the road or things that had happened. So I think that, whether you're running a business or whatever you're doing, just being present and acknowledging those things as much as possible.
Nice. And I think one of my favorite questions is what has been a pivotal moment for you, whether it be your personal life, your business life, both, either. What's been really a pivotal moment for you?
Wow. I I would say probably having kids um, has been incredibly pivotal because before it was just me or it was just me and my wife, and looking back that was really easy, or at least it seems like it was much easier. But being a dad, being present for them as much as possible, and really focusing on the things that matter most. I mean, it's very easy to get lost in a lot of the noise, that's out there, whether it's social media or it's television or what have you. There's a lot of noise in our world right now. Um, and I think that, just being present and being there in the moment as much as possible is something that I've really taken to heart and really tried to change and take a look at the things, that growing up, you know, maybe, I we don't raise our kids the way that that we were raised or anything like that. So trying to continuing to do better, and with the knowledge and the education that we have, um I would say is a big one.
And how does a balanced life look for you? You seem to, I mean, as we go through this, I think you seem to, I'd say, have a pretty good balance. But how does a balanced life look for you?
Yeah, I think it comes and goes. I think I'm either really on track and doing really well, or I have some moments where it's like, all right, I need to recenter myself. But um, I think that being as proactive, I think a lot of times we tend to let life happen and we get into a mode of reactiveness, whether that's in your personal life or whether that's in your business life. Um, I read a book a number of years ago, and I'm going to botch it if I can uh, look it up. And one, have you read Inner Excellence yet at all? Um, Inner Excellence is an incredible book by Jim Murphy, and you know it- what he's really talking about is being intentional in all aspects of life, right? Whether that's with your business or whether that's with your personal life, is how can you be as intentional as possible? And I think that hovers over everything. So whether that's fitness and health, am I making the best choices? Because at the end of the day, when you wake up every day, you have a choice, right? You have a choice of whatever action you're going to make. Um, and and having an open mind, um, letting a thought or comment come in and not reacting to it immediately, where I think that sometimes we tend to either say no or yes immediately, instead of letting that thought or that comment just kind of sit for a little bit. um but I think that one of the important things with having a balanced life is just trying to be intentional. How do I want to structure my days? What does an ideal day look like for Andy? Right? What does an ideal day look like for Leo? Have we started to really step back and evaluate what that looks like for us on an individual level? I know I want to eat healthy. I know I want to take time and work out every day. I know I want to set certain times for meetings, but I also want to set certain times to be able to think and get some work done too. So I think that just this thought of and we try to talk to our clients about this as much as possible who are running businesses, is what do you want that ideal day to look like? And that could be different for everybody, right? But what's important to you, um, so that when you lay down at night, it was a successful day. And I think that where the anxiety gets built up is when we let those things kind of slip away and they start to become chaotic, on a daily basis. So I think it's being very intentional. the word no is very powerful, at times. Um, so it's taking an audit of, of your life and of your days, and saying, what do I want this to look like? What do I want this to look like in 5 years? What do I want this to look like in a week? Um, so I'm very guarded. I don't take it as something that of my time. I don't take it as something that's selfish. I just think that it's something that's very necessary.
You obviously phrase that so well because this really is your day job, telling other people how to
Thank
do
you.
it.
Yeah, right.
So, what is one piece of advice that you could give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
I it it can certainly feel lonely at times. You do feel like you're kind of on an island by yourself, trying to figure things out. And I think that you know surrounding yourself with like-minded people, God, it has such a huge impact, I think, on your mental fitness, on your mental clarity. um Really trying to find people who have maybe gone down the journey that you've gone down, but finding a community of like-minded people, whether that's locally or that's online or whatever that is, for you to be able to bounce ideas off and get good advice, I think has been really helpful. It's been really helpful for me. It's been really helpful for my business partners, and also for clients that we work with. But um I think one of these things that I've been really obsessed with, and I heard it probably on a TikTok somewhere. I did not make this up or anything like this. It was a podcast I was listening to, actually, and the guy said the magic that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. And I think that really just kind of hit me between the eyes, right? And whether that's family life, whether that's health and fitness life, or whether that's in your business, change is hard, I think, and change is sometimes really hard for an entrepreneur. Um, but taking a look at those things, what are you avoiding? Um, that could really make a big difference in all aspects of life. So that is a great quote. So I did not come up with it.
What are you avoiding? That is a nice one. And how can people find you?
Sure. So we have a website. It's bettereveryday.com. Or I'm always on LinkedIn, but yeah, we have a website out there, kind of explains, what we do. Again, we're in the tax and accounting space, but we're trying to help entrepreneurs just think bigger, think bigger than the day to day. Day to day is certainly important, but um, taking a step back and saying, what vision do if you're starting a business, or if you're in the middle of running a business, how much time have you spent thinking about the vision that you want for the business? It's just so easy to get caught up in the day to day. And we think that's just incredibly important. And there's the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if you're it's an old one, but it's amazing even to this day how impactful that is, to start with the end in mind, right? I've started this business. What is my ultimate goal? What vision do I see for this going forward? I think it's incredibly important.
Thank you, Andy. I really appreciated hearing a lot of your thoughts and sharing that with the audience today.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. This is a blast.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and leave a review. Thank you.